I'm Micah from OST Dyno. My dad is behind the camera, and today we're going to just do a short overview of our new shop car that we had for the 2021 season. This is a 2015 Hellcat body on a tube chassis frame. That was a new endeavor for us. We have worked with customers in the past who've had tube chassis cars, but we've never set one up from scratch ourselves. So one of the things that we did with this car was intentionally keep it at relatively low power, so that while we're sorting everything else out, like gears, tires, four-link suspension, we weren't also trying to sort out a ton of power. So relatively low power for the season. We did end up going 7.7, which was a lot quicker than we intended or expected to go. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But as far as the body goes, there's no lightning done to it other than Lexan windows. Everything else is factory. Doors, hood, fenders, trunk lid, headlights, taillights, all of that stuff is factory and uncut. Even the door still has the crash bar in it. So there's a lot of weight that we can still take out of it if we wanted to. The car weighs about 3,200 pounds right now with the driver. So relatively heavy for a chassis car. A couple of cool little features that we've done are, like I said, keeping the factory, along with keeping the factory panels, we still have power windows and power mirrors, factory door handles. We do still have a factory antenna, and that has actually been converted to be used as the antenna for our communications devices. So when my dad's up the line, I can stand there, either behind him or wherever, and I can communicate to him, tell him to bail, tell him, go straight, turn left, whatever is needed while he's at the track, because it is impossible to hear each other, even when you're standing right next to the person in the car. So we also have a factory trunk button to pop the trunk with the usable trunk, no hood pins or hood latches or trunk latches. You can hear it's still a very heavy trunk. We're not big fans of the latches. We like to keep things looking stock. So with the hood and the trunk, we do have a factory latch system working and hinges. And you can see even the hydraulics or the air shock. So as far as the engine goes, it's very, very simple. We wanted to keep it simple, like I said, to keep power down, but we also wanted to prove what our shelf parts could do, the same parts that we put into customer cars. So if a customer wants to have a 426 in their Hellcat, this is the exact same engine combination we would put in their car. So this is a factory block for one of our 426s that we keep here at the shop. All Manly shelf rotating assembly parts, factory main caps. It's very, very basic. The heads are also a factory 6.2 cylinder head. We did have Craig at FiTech go through them and clean the ports up, but they're still factory valve sizes and factory valves. It has one of our Demon Plus cam kits in it, which is all the parts in that kit that are in this are exactly the same as what you could buy on our website. So the Demon Plus cam, our spring package, our push rods, all of that stuff is very basic and the same thing that we would put in any other car. The supercharger is a factory 2.4 blower. We had purchased that off of a customer who was switching to a 4.5 and put it on this motor. No porting, no aftermarket throttle, no bearing plate or anything like that. It is still very basic, completely stock 2.4 blower. We did a 265 Metka pulley on the top and an ATI 10% damper on the bottom. So just kind of like our level 2 kit with a Demon Plus cam. It's very, very basic. Like I said, keep power down, keep it simple, and proved what our parts can do. A couple of cool little things that we have done on the front of the motor are keeping the factory water pump and the alternator. Alternator's not here right now because we're currently working on the car, but we do run an alternator on this so that we don't have to, tow it up to the line or tow it back to the return road. And we do intend to drive this car on the street one day, maybe for drag week or some event like that. But keeps it very, very close to an actual street car. We are using nitrous, so nitrous outlets supplies all the parts and the fittings for that, and then we made a direct port system for the blower. You'll notice there's only one line going into each port. That's because we're only injecting nitrous. Fueling is taken care of by the injectors in the tube. So that's kind of was set up for the future as well for when we switch to a standalone, but it works just fine with the factory engine management that the car is running. The transmission is, I guess I should say, the math shows that we're about 300 horsepower with nitrous added to the motor. So relatively low for what this car should be able to handle. So like I said, low power just to get things sorted out. The transmission is a 2-speed power glide. Todd Redmond over at Cohen was instrumental in making that all work. We put together a very budget transmission. My dad had a bunch of Powerglide parts laying around, and they weren't necessarily the right parts for the job, but we threw them together just to get the car to the track really and see what would break, see what would actually be needed. And those parts are actually still in it today. We haven't really changed anything with the transmission. We have gone through a couple converters. Todd has been going back and forth with us to get the right converter for the car. We've ended up with their two-piece billet converter, and the first time we put that in the car, it really woke it up. We went our quickest ET. We did a pass on the previous converter, pulled the converter at the track, threw their two-piece in, and the car went a few tenths quicker. And that was the first, I think, 7-second pass. So hats off to Todd. He definitely knows his stuff. So coming into the inside of the car, like I said, we are still on factory engine management, HP tuners, and factory PCM. So you can see our dash. It's actually just a $80 tablet that we are running HP tuners on. So we use it for flashing, reading, and as a logger / monitoring system, so that we can watch the vitals going down the track. Because it can't be reached from the driver's seat, we have a mouse over by the shifter, so that my dad can actually make changes to the tune or start the log or whatever else he needs to do from the driver's seat when he's strapped in. Because we are still because we're factory engine management, we are still using a drive-by-wire throttle pedal and throttle body, so that you see the drive-by-wire pedal there. The shifter is an electronic shift, powered by an electronic shift solenoid, which is run by the nitrous controller. So our nitrous controller lets us set up where the shift point is. So there's no manual shifting in this car as it goes down the track. It's all consistent and makes it less variables for us to have to worry about. So we did end up going a lot quicker in this car than we intended to, or really this iteration was designed for. We kind of just wanted to get the car down the track and sort out the suspension, which happened a lot quicker than we thought. So we ended up pouring on some more power, and like I said, we went 7.7. Unfortunately, every time that we went 770s, which was quite a few times, it was not a clean pass. The mile an hour was 20, maybe 30 miles an hour down from where it should be. We're having issues with throttle blade closing. We tried to rectify them a couple different ways, and nothing really seemed to work. So we're going to be switching the car over to Hellcat. We are already starting that process. We had intended to do that several months ago, but we just stuck with HP tuners to see how far it will go. And yeah, we're pretty excited to get the Nexus on it and see how quick we can actually make the car now that we, learned a lot of things about setting up a chassis car. So keep an eye out for this car in the 22 season. And big thanks to all the guys that have supported us and helped us out. Jeff Taylor for the motors, he does all of our 426 engines here. Craig at Viatech for the cylinder heads. Todd Redmond over at Cohen for the transmission, and Nitrous Outlet for all their solenoids and fittings and nitrous parts, and County Line Collision for the paint and body work. So thanks a lot, guys, and see you at the track.